It's so the thing I don't like is I don't like the fact that because I ban a lot of conservatives, so my YouTube chat, all my chats become a little bit circle jerky. But the problem is like there are no good conservative, like the conservatives have nothing of value to say, right? Like it'd be nice to have like some, but there is no intelligent pushback because you can't be an intelligent Trump supporter. You just can't. So it's just fucking annoying. It's so dumb. Like 10 million though? Why is it significant change? Yeah, there's a significant change from Obama 1 to Obama 2. The election is what? Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, sometimes more people vote, sometimes less people vote. What is it always like? It's such a fucking talking point. It's so stupid. Like God, it's okay. It's not okay.
How many votes did Trump gain between 2016 and 2020? Hang on, you were probably.
Was it a few million?
It was a lot. 2016.
What is it?
Me. Let's see.
Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the
statistically significant change. You don't even know what statistically significant means. Oh!
Trump gained 12 million votes between 2016 and 24.
Gained how many?
12 million.
Sounds like voter fraud to me.
Yeah. Democrats too big to rig. After he fucking murdered a bunch of his voters through the COVID measures.
Base.
Bruh.
Okay.
Education of their children. Second.
Okay, hold on. We got 10-point plan to rebuild America's school system based. Okay.
Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to...
Destiny, bro, it is quite far from the standard deviation, literally significantly different. I'm sorry. Okay. You use a phrase called statistically significant. What statistical significance means that you have a confidence interval, I believe, of over 95%, where the confidence interval of 95% closes in on a figure that is not encompassed within the range of the null of a particular study. So an IQ from 100 to, I think, 101 can be a statistically significant increase or a statistically significant change. What you're thinking of is just a significant change, not statistical significance, just like a large change. Large is not the same as statistically significant. Stop.
To control the education of their children. Second, we will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are...
Okay, I need to actually listen. Sorry, fuck me. One more time. Okay.
Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children.
Can we not do that? What are superintendents? What are school boards? What are parent-teacher conferences? Don't we vote for the school superintendents? Don't we vote for whatever? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second, we will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed.
Does that mean they're going to go back to teaching evolution in Alabama? Or
reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects. Fourth, we will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now.
He can't even do most of the shit. Most of the school shit is like done at the state level or the city level or the county level. Like,
fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools. Sixth, we will achieve...
Thank God. Yeah, that was really fucking our students over.
...schools that are safe, secure, and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh, we will give all parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. It's called school choice.
You can enforce school choice at the federal level? Wow, I guess we're the party of big government now, huh?
Wait, can Americans homeschool and it's perfectly fine?
Yeah, you can, but homeschooling is pretty hard to do, right? You have to have a parent that stays home from work.
Yeah, but they have the right to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Eighth, we will ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom. Ninth,
nice. Train our workers in 5th grade to construction projects.
We will strive to give all students access to internships and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more successful. I will be the happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child. And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work it needs back to the states. We want them.
We're closing the Department of Education. So that means no more student loans. That means no more Pell Grants. That means no more, like, this is like pie in the sky shit. Like, what do we... Okay.
It's both things at the same time, isn't it? It's states' rights, but also we're going to do.
Yeah,
all
where are
these
they
things
getting?
and
Where are they going to
federal
get the fucking
government
funding for that? States are
God.
fucked. Okay, well, go to college now. Good luck.
To run the education of our children, because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Jesus Christ. Right?
Nice. Make our country
How
as
many of these
retarded
does he
as
have?
fuck.
Does he have more of these?
There's a whole. This is
40
the Agenda 47. I wanted to look at. Yeah, we can start watching these. What is this one?
Ties with the Minister offered congratulations to the convicted felon Donald Trump on his re-election. Writing officially on behalf of the Scottish Government, he wrote that he is sure Scotland's cultural and social ties with the US will flourish during the presidency of a misogynist, a climate denier, a fraudster, a conspiracy monger, a racist, a far-right politician who tried to overturn an election result both covertly and by inciting violence. Words fail me. What social and cultural ties does the First Minister really think will benefit from a relationship with such a man?
Jeez.
Scottish government's fucking based, man. And more of those guys. Those people get voted in and shit.
All right, let's see. President Donald J. Trump declares war on cartels. Oh, cool. Rumble videos and everything.
Fentanyl, heroin, meth, and other lethal drugs are pouring across our wide open border, stealing hundreds of thousands of beautiful American lives, and it's happening like never before in our...
I guess so. Like, he just does so many things, like never before, biggest you've ever seen, everything. Like, it's just, he always, oh God, he sounds like such a fucking retard.
It's the American way, bro. That's how the country was built.
This gaudy fucking tie and this stupid American pin, and I hate this guy.
Ministry. Children are being left without parents, families are being ripped apart, communities are being decimated. Our neighbors and fellow citizens are having their entire worlds destroyed. Destroyed like nobody thought possible. Our country is being poisoned from within by the drugs and by all of the other crime that's taking place. The drug cartels are waging war on America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. In this war, Joe Biden decided against the United States and with the cartels. They are making more money than they've ever made before, times 10. There's never been anything like it. They're major, major companies. They're bigger than even some of our biggest companies. Biden's open border policy...
What is the net worth of, or the market capitalization of MS-13? Is it in the trillions? What do we, is that, okay.
It's like none you've ever seen, Stephen.
Actually, you know what, I'm curious, actually. I have no idea. Would you even be able to look something like that up? Estimated revenue, MS-13. Is that even the big, that's just the one I hear him talk about all the time. I don't even know how I would find this. I read a stats at one point. Percentage of fentanyl that crosses border illegally. I read something that like the majority of the fentanyl that's snuck in, like it's snuck in through people crossing illegally. Oh, is this true? More than 90% of interdicted fentanyl is stopped at ports of entry, where cartels attempt to smuggle it primarily in vehicles driven by U.S. citizens. So all this talk of like building the wall and all this shit is all like it doesn't even...
Does that mean most of it's produced internally, or
no. It means that they try to smuggle it in using U.S. citizens, basically.
Right.
So having a strict border that catches illegal like doesn't do anything. It's fucking retarded.
It's not like they're trying to fucking tunnel it under the
Exactly.
wall.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's what people think because these guys watch Fast and Furious 5 or whatever bullshit, and they think that like illegals are digging. Yeah.
What else are you saying?
CBP and HSI throughout the past 2 years have run operations and mobilized hundreds of personnel. Operation Plaza Spike, April 24, expanded multi 10,000 pounds of fentanyl. God damn.
I don't even know if that drug exists in the UK, or it's definitely not much of an issue if it is.
How much what?
How much of an issue? Like, I don't even know if that exists in the UK, or if it does, no one talks about it.
What, fentanyl?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
We used to have a big problem with legal highs. They would fuck people up pretty bad.
Doesn't that source just mean the fent that's stopped is found with citizens? That wouldn't necessarily prove the fent isn't stopped. It comes in illegal. Okay, what other stat do you want me to use? Why are these fucking retards saying shit like, that's just the ones that's being stopped and caught? How can you track what you don't know? The same fucking retards saying, how can you track what you don't know, are the ones that are saying 40,000 illegals came in with murder records. How do you know that? Shut the fuck up. I wish I could ban you. If I had an account, I would just permaban every single person asking these retarded fucking questions. What do you mean? You go by what you can find. You go by what you can track. If you get another stat or another number that you can bring up, go for it. But the selective skepticism where any time, like if somebody gives a number where it's like every time you vote for Donald Trump, you get 4 million blowjobs from fucking supermodels. Oh yeah, I believe that. And then it's like yesterday at the border, 482 people were found with 72 pounds of blah, blah. It's like, I don't actually believe any of those numbers. Rope, please. My God.
Just denying the real feelings of real Americans? Okay.
Seriously.
The United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS.
As a heroin addict in recovery, I hate when people try to talk about drugs, especially the opiate crisis. True! Listening to people that have never touched a drug in their entire fucking life talk about fucking anything having to do with drugs is one of the most irritating things in the world. Watching George Floyd screaming, oh, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Like, oh, that guy's definitely ODing on downers right now. It was one of the most retarded series of conversations I've ever had in my entire fucking life. Oh my God.
When I am president, it will be the policy of the United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS caliphate, and just as, unlike the situation we're in today, we had a very, very strong border, the strongest border, in fact, in the history of our country, and drugs were at a low of 45 years. There's been nothing like what we did just 2 years ago. We will show no mercy on the cartel.
Like, remember, everything was at an all-time low at the end of his presidency. Yes, there was COVID. Like, yes, people weren't immigrating illegally. Well, people weren't immigrating, period, because people were getting sick, people weren't doing anything, and you had Title 42 to help you because of COVID. So he wants credit for things that he did under COVID when it helps, but then he wants to blame COVID when it didn't help. It's so...
Cartels. Every day, drug traffickers are using the waters of our region to ship their lethal poisons to America, killing so many of our people and ruining families. In addition to restoring strong border security, I will deploy all necessary military assets, including the U.S. Navy, to impose the full naval embargo on the cartels. I did that before, and it worked. What we did was incredible. We will guarantee that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used to traffic illicit drugs to our country. Furthermore, I will order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and
Wait, what does that mean? Oh, he listened to my Medicare debate like 8 years ago.
Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. I will designate the major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We will sever their access to global financial systems. I will also work to forge an unprecedented partnership with neighboring governments in our region, just like I did in Mexico. And remember, in Mexico alone, an estimated 100,000 civilians have been tragically murdered or gone missing at the hands of these cartels. The Mexican government, run by a very fine man, the president, is really working hard. But it's not working out. These cartels are vicious and they're violent, and they have Mexico for now stymied. But we have to help Mexico, and we have to stymie the cartels. Either we will get the full cooperation of other governments to stop this menace, or we will expose every bribe, every kickback, every payoff, and every bit of corruption that is allowing the cartels to preserve their brutal reign, and it is indeed brutal. Finally, as I have said before, I will ask Congress to pass legislation ensuring that drug smugglers and human traffickers receive the death penalty. The drug cartels and their allies in the Biden administration have the blood of countless millions on their hands. Millions and millions of families and people are being destroyed. When I'm back in the White House, the drug kingpins and vicious traffickers will never sleep soundly again. We did it.
Does this count as no new wars, or does that?
What? It's also, I'm just trying to think of how many Joe Rogan fans who decided to vote for Trump are like one of their biggest issues of the last 20 years was war on drugs.
Yeah, true.
Both things
There's
at
an
once.
he wants an
Let's
actual
go.
war on drugs.
than anybody else. There's never been a better border than we had just 2 years ago. It was strong, it was powerful, and it was respected all over the world. And now we're laughed at all over the world. And we're not going to let that happen much longer. We have to take over, we have to be tough, we have to be smart, we have to be fair. But if we don't do something immediately, our country is gone.
Gone.
Apparently that's an old video.
A lot of these are like from 2023, apparently.
Yeah.
And they're all hosted on on Rumble. Nice. Ending veteran homelessness. Oh boy.
Let's go.
Under crooked Joe Biden, the U.S. government has spent nearly $1 billion to house illegal aliens.
Hey, dumb fuck, I said that shit about the fent. If you think I'm a Trump will kill yourself. I know you're not a Trump will K cappuccino. I was asking about that specific stat and if there's anything to give direct evidence to no, you cannot find direct evidence of a specific claim about something that is illegal and smuggled. By definition, it's impossible. It's like saying like, oh, why can't you give me the exact number of illegal immigrants in the United States? Like, by definition, you can't. Like, they're illegal. They're hard to track. Yeah, they're all done by estimates, yeah.
And foreign migrants in expensive luxury hotels, courtesy of you, the American taxpayer, and they want to spend billions and billions more. In many states, we're running out of hotel space because the rooms are all booked up with illegal aliens living in a very large way on the American taxpayer's dime. Meanwhile, we have 33,000 veterans in this country who are homeless and living very poorly, I might add, and it's a shame. They're living in filth and squalor on our streets. Nobody is doing a thing for them. We helped them a lot during my 4 years, and it's all been dropped. Everything we did for our veterans has been dropped.
Where he solved veteran homelessness during his administration, and now they're all homeless again.
It's a disgrace. Joe Biden puts illegal aliens before homeless veterans, and we cannot let this happen any longer. The American veteran is one of our greats. These are great, great people. We have to take care of them. When I am reelected, this national scandal will end. On day one, I will sign an executive order to cut off Joe Biden's massive spigot of funding for shelter and transport of illegal aliens and redirect a portion of those savings, a very large portion, I might add, to provide shelter and treatment for homeless American veterans. I will make it a personal mission to totally eradicate veterans.
We should bomb homeless veterans, too. And then you'd have no more homeless veterans
What
either.
the fuck,
Imagine all the money
man?
you'd save.
God.
Homelessness in America by the end.
We just bomb everything. Tariffs are the solution to every economic problem. Special forces and targeted strikes are the solution to every domestic problem. Bad schools with a low literacy rate. If you have 2 schools with 100% literacy and 2 schools with 50% literacy, bomb the 50% literacy schools. Boom! 100% literacy. There you go. Easy.
I can't believe it took me so long to realize this, that he just manages to please like every single pet peeve, even though it's like things that contradict each other. The fact that he's able to appeal to both really strict fucking fentanyl like border people, but also like war on drug stoners and the Joe Rogan audience. That's really fucking.
It's because you remember what I said before, the emotive stuff, the proxy stuff. All of these, none of these beliefs are like strongly held principle beliefs. They're all just like proxies for some other feeling that you can get at in other ways, basically. Yeah.
End of next term, you'll see a big difference, just like you did at the VA, just like you did with, frankly, everything we touched. The border was the best border we've ever had. We were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. Our country was doing great. We had no inflation. We had the best economy in history. We're going to take care of our veterans. If you have served this nation in uniform, the Trump administration will never betray you as Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats have done. They have truly betrayed you. Anybody voting for a Democrat is very foolish, very, very foolish.
True.
We certainly will not be
Wait,
putting illegal...
you shouldn't have said. I thought the whole thing was like you shouldn't have called Trump supporters garbage or fucking fascists or whatever.
Oh, they always say that,
Meanwhile,
but
they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Well,
Radical
no, bro,
left,
they called
Marxist communists.
They called Obama a communist for 8 years.
Yeah.
Republicans always do this. It's only the Democrats that have to be held responsible because they play by a different rule. But this is the Fasci quote. I'm going to bring this up a million times.
They
I
should
don't
have
care.
said that MAGA was poisoning the blood of the nation, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
That'd have been fine.
It's this stupid quote. You're going to get sick of me doing this over and over again, guys, and I hope you are. This thing about they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who's obliged to use words responsibly since he believes in words. The anti-Semites have the right to play. Just replace anti-Semites with Trumples or fascists or whatever. But yeah, it's they have no obligation to be truthful about literally anything they ever say, ever. Yeah.
But also, whenever anything, this disinformation comes from left-wingers or Democrats, I feel like they're all on it like a fucking harpoon. Like they just
Yep.
when
Because they know
CNN
that we're
got-
obligated to try to be truthful.
When
So they,
CNN got the Rogan thing wrong, and they
Yep.
just unite. They unite around it so hard. And it's
Yep.
like, yeah,
and then the
fuck.
liberals play the game. And they're like, oh shit, we did fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Like even Piers and all these people. And look at what's happening right now in liberal media, right? Where all of us are like, well, what did we do wrong? What do we need to do differently? How many of those conversations did you see happening with the Trumples?
None. Yeah.
They ran the same candidate. They ran the exact same candidate. Who lost
Yeah.
against the same guy. With the exact same messaging and the exact same plan, right? Like, but then the liberals are like, you guys need to go back and you need to self-reflect and figure out what you did to lose. And it's like, really? Yeah, it's unreal. That's why when
fuck
what's
it.
the peers asking, it's like, are you reflecting, self-reflecting? No, I'm not actually. No, I'm good.
Alien lawbreakers up in ultimate luxury while American veterans lay shivering on the sidewalks below. Unlike Biden, our loyalty will not be to illegal aliens who have violated our borders and come into our country illegally. They've trampled our sovereignty. It will be to the brave men and women who enlisted their lives to defend our borders and to protect our sovereignty. Thank you very much. We're going to take care of our veterans.
I like veterans that can't afford their homes, okay? Not the ones that are getting captured in the streets. No welfare for illegal aliens.
Uh-oh.
Crooked Joe Biden is running a non-stop conveyor belt importing illegal aliens from all over the world.
Non-stop conveyor belt. Based.
Into our country, and the Biden Department of Homeland Security is abusing its so-called parole authority to give them more governmental benefits than many law-abiding citizens, including our vets. Our vets are being taken advantage of. Our citizens are being taken advantage of. It's very unfair, and it's not going to stand. Under this horrendous abuse of power, millions of illegals will be eligible for billions and billions of dollars in welfare benefits, courtesy of you, the American taxpayer. So not only is Crooked Joe surrendering your borders and your sovereignty, he is stealing your hard-earned money to redistribute it to people who have no business being in our country. They should be in their country. This is not sustainable by anybody, certainly not sustainable by us. The United States is trillions of dollars in debt, yet the radical left Democrats are illegally dispensing public benefits to illegals while they try to massively raise your taxes. The radical left communists hate you, and they hate our middle class. Under Biden's scheme, the benefits that will go to illegal aliens include food stamps, free health care, welfare checks, and a host of other programs, the likes of which you would not even believe. In addition, Biden is also giving illegal aliens work permits to take jobs away from American citizens. And then if they have children, not only do the children get automatic citizenship, but they unlock a trove of additional government benefits flowing to illegal immigrant households. In the meantime, our vets suffer and our citizens suffer. On day one of my new administration, we will shut down this travesty and defend the wealth of...
Is that an implicit call to get rid of birthright citizenship? I'm not sure.
Wasn't that floated in 26 in the last Trump presidency?
I know the Nazis talk about it. I don't know if I've ever heard a mainstream Republican flirt with that idea much.
I will stop the outrageous abuse of parole authority. I will reinstate my action making illegals ineligible for public housing. We will terminate all work permits for illegal aliens, and I...
God, look at that thrussy.
The throat pussy. I've never heard that word before.
But you knew it immediately.
Jesus
You
Christ,
knew
yeah,
exactly.
clicked.
will demand that Congress send me a bill blocking any future president from abusing his power to distribute welfare benefits in this manner. It's all being paid for by the American taxpayer. Like automatic citizenship for children of illegal aliens, welfare is a gigantic magnet drawing people from all over the world. They want to come to the United States.
What is this delusional U.S. talking point? You're so jealous of our welfare. You know how many people immigrate to the U.S. because of how great our welfare is? Also, by the way, just a quick thing. Fuck you. The idea that the only reason somebody would try to illegally get in this country is for our fucking welfare. There's a lot of amazing things about the United States of America. Our welfare is not one of them.
I feel like that's an argument that they just make for migrants, like every country. To think that the amount of if you looked at the refugee crisis from Syria, the fact that there were points when crossing the Mediterranean was so dangerous that you had a 1 in 20 chance of dying.
Yeah.
And they're they're going there for 30 or 40 pounds a week you get from the UK government. Yeah, fuck off.
Off the sweat and savings of the American taxpayer. It's not fair. It's not just. We're not going to let it happen. I will end it all immediately. Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
What the fuck is this?
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous. It's about 20. There must be 35.
Traveling from India to California with an unshakable dream to be the son.
He's got a tweeter. How do I get this? Okay, my next personal assistant shop, I need a tweeter to just sit next to me and tweet shit when I'm getting upset.
How many people are watching?
Can we tell how many, Dan? How many people are watching?
She's talking about how great.
What is this? Was this someone, a campaign staffer who leaked?
I don't know, but no, there's no way this is leaked. This must be an official, because it's being held up, right? He has to be able to see, right? Oh yeah, and there's multiple angles. This must be just a thing they filmed, yeah.
How many people are watching?
She's talking about how great San Francisco was before she destroyed it. A lot of talk about childhood. We've got to get to the border, inflation, and crime. Send these out. The things of which she complains. The things of which she complains.
Oh my God, dude.
Donald Trump is an unserious man.
You hear that, Phil? That's correct, right? Ready? Please, prosecution.
Oh, there's
that Gabbard?
Tulsi, yeah. Oh, fuck. Rob, have you seen Rob Noor's little series about why every demographic should vote for Trump?
No, I blocked that.
So he did one about why leftists should, and he said that he used the clip of Tulsi in the 2016 or 2020 debate saying that that Kamala locked up 1,500 people for smoking weed. That was the one example he gave of Harris doing bad in 2020, even though that was a complete fucking lie.
Okay.
I think it was. I think the real number was less than 30, and it didn't even tell you whether or not they were selling or whether or not they had other charges. So yeah, just
Jesus.
Fucking Tulsi, man. The Tulsels, you remember them? The people who...
This is the tweet Boner Box was talking about. Jesus, he did a whole ass series. All right.
Were all started by her and Biden against their political opponents. Me. Get that out right away.
Get that out right away.
She paid bail to get the violent rioters in Minnesota out of jail.
Is he telling her to go all caps when she does it?
I guess, yeah.
Put it in there. Put it right in with the stuff, right?
With that post,
He would use the immense power.
Good.
You could do it either that or separate.
Say more lies, lying about the Project 2025.
Lying against Project 25, which she knows, and so do all Democrats, that I have absolutely nothing to do with.
She says we all know that term limits.
It's very efficient.
Jesus Christ. What is this? Hold on.
As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. As part of my plan to secure...
Jesus.
Apparently, Matt Gaetz in 2023 tried to push forward a bill on ending birthright citizenship. Well, I called it End Birthright Citizenship Fraud.
Nice.
Introduced to the House, nothing happened with it.
It's like I saw somebody, I won't even say because it's embarrassing. We want it where the women over there don't have to wear the you-know-what. And then I said, oh, well, that makes sense. That's nice. Then I saw women interviewed. They said, we want to wear them. We've worn them for 1,000 years. Why would anybody tell us not to? They want to. What the hell are we getting involved for? In fact, it's easier. You don't have to put up makeup. Look how beautiful everyone looks. Wouldn't it be easier? Wow. Right? Wouldn't that be easy? I'll tell you, if I was a woman, I don't want to. Wow. I'm ready, darling. Let's go. It's true.
Is that
It would
one
be
old?
funnier if he wasn't like the president. No, yeah, I think it is old.
Yeah. he's
Did
got
you
more
did I
energy there.
did I ever make you watch the clip where Donald Trump doesn't know what like the West is or what liberalism means?
No?
Oh my God. Hold on. This is probably one of the craziest.
Oh, like he's asked about the West and he just talks about like,
No, you have.
California or...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, dude, you don't even know. This is one of the craziest. Oh my God, dude. Does this not work? Hello?
So you're not doing any self-reflection, no changes going forward to deal with the... People keep talking about capturing the youth, right? Like the young men.
No, I'll
who
make.
went-
There are things that I want to do, making changes going forward. Yeah.
Like what?
Hold
So
on.
anyway, so we get along great, but what happened with Turkey, and I will tell you when it's fair, when it's not fair,
You're going to start doing MMA.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right.
we can help each other. I think in the end we can have, if the right deal is structured, we can be great for each other. If China would open up, you're opening up a tremendous, the largest market in the world. And right now China's not open to the United States, but we're open to China. That should have never really been allowed to happen. Okay, yes, please, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Russia, are you planning to go to Moscow next spring as President Putin invited you? And
Yes.
do you agree with him that Western-style liberalism, as it's been defined over the post-war period, is now obsolete and no longer relevant to today's world?
Well, I haven't heard him say that, but he did invite me to Russia for the defeat of Nazis. That's a big thing, defeat of Nazis. Russia lost, he said, 25 million people. I had actually heard 50 million people, but he said yesterday that Russia fighting the Nazis, they lost 25 million people. You would know better better than anybody, Peter. But it was a tremendous, they suffered greatly. And they're having a 75th, you could really say, celebration of the defeat of the Nazis. And he invited me, and I said I would give it very serious consideration. That was Russia went through a lot. They lost, I guess, far more than anybody fighting the Nazis in terms of people. And he did invite me, and I said we would get back, but we will give that very serious consideration.
His
Okay? Thank you,
comments
Peter.
to the Financial Times.
And then so then the reporter asks again, basically,
Yeah,
what?
so we would, get
This
back,
is so
but we
unreal.
will give that very serious consideration.
His
Okay?
his
Thank you,
comments to
Peter.
the Financial Times right before arriving here was that Western-style liberalism is obsolete. I know you probably haven't read the
Well, again, he may
That's
feel
true.
that way. I mean, he sees what's going on, and I guess if you look at what's happening in Los Angeles, where it's so sad to look, and what's happening in San Francisco
no.
and a couple of other cities, which are run by an extraordinary group of liberal people. I don't know what they're thinking, but he does see things that are happening in the United States that would probably preclude him from saying how wonderful it is at the same time.
Okay, but maybe he thinks
No.
California is the pinnacle of
No.
Western style liberalism.
Every other leader of every country did for what we've done economically, because we probably have the strongest economy we've ever had, and that's a real positive. But I'm very embarrassed by what I see in some of our cities, where the politicians are either afraid to do something about it, or they think it's votes, or I don't know what, Peter, I don't know what they're thinking. But when you look at Los Angeles, when you look at San Francisco, when you look at some of the other cities, and not a lot, but you don't want it to spread. And at a certain point, I think the federal government maybe has to get involved. We can't let that continue to happen to our cities. Ladies and gentlemen.
How are you supposed to defend the liberal world order? How are you supposed to defend liberalism when your president, who just got reelected, doesn't even know what liberalism is or means? That's how unbelievable. Like, how can you be that politically, historically, like, illiterate and be the president?
It's very fucked up.
Holy shit.
Because I know some people like to say that he plays dumb and shit, but I don't know.
No, he's an idiot.
sincere.
He's a
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
retard. It's insane.
Will sign.
Appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent.
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is.
I got you. John, it's Olivia. I have Joaquinita, Cameron, and Jason Miller would like to see you right now.
Do you still stand by what you said when you said the polls Gavin McInnes were looking at were the polls only he wanted to see, and the ones you were looking at were neck and neck? Yes, I'm pretty sure most of the polls leading up to the election where it showed everything within like a couple points. Yes.
Did you see that apparently there's an internal Biden poll from the summer that had him losing, that had Trump winning 400 electoral college votes?
No, I didn't know that. It's possible though, but also that would have been a long time ago poll.
I mean, that would probably be the reason that they decided to pull him out, right?
Oh, maybe,
If he
who
was
knows?
internally polling worse. What? What are your changes going forward? What are the big improvements?
I want to work more. I want to work in a more official capacity with the DNC. So I'm trying to reach out. If you're a DNC person, I've got a few emails. If you're a DNC person, or if you have connections, shoot me an email. We can chat. I want to work with a more official capacity at the DNC because I think they have a really poor understanding of the media landscape. I want to encourage the DNC and Democrats to stop working with people that don't support the party.
Who are you talking about there?
Just anybody that doesn't support the party, I don't think should have any
specifics?
access. I mean, like people like Hassan,
Yeah,
obviously,
okay.
people like Breonna Joy Gray, people like anybody that identifies basically as a lefty socialist.
Has Brian Joy Gray worked with the DNC lately?
When I say work with, I mean like even having access to candidates like AOC or Bernie. Like none of these people should be going on. They should be supporting people that are like supportive of the party. Yeah.
What do you think? How much do you think you guys had a role in Bernie canceling on Hassan?
My guess would be 100%
Yeah.
based on what I saw, but who knows? I went over something yesterday on my stream.
Well, he already did. He failed the fucking vetting test in the Washington Monument.
True, but I heard so many different things. I think we all failed that vetting test. Really hardcore. Current stream. But I don't know. I heard so many random different things.
Do you worry about that, about your official capacity with the DNC?
Not anymore, no. I think they need to get the fuck over that shit. Donald
Because
Trump has said so
whatever
many
you guys do,
crazy,
yeah.
wild, insane. That the fucking Puerto Rico floating island of trash having zero impact. Like they need to get the fuck over it. They have to get.
Well,
the
people,
fuck over it.
I feel like people should know that it might impact Puerto Ricans, but it's not going to, like, other
It didn't.
Hispanic
I don't
people
think.
don't. Yeah, but especially other Hispanic people, because Hispanic people fucking hate each other. Like, I think if you're
A
Dominican,
little
you
bit.
hate
It's not so
Haitians
much that
and-
they. I wouldn't also say so much that they fucking hate each other. So much as more is that like progressives have like a natural bulk against anything that's even remotely racist or elitist or whatever, and other people that aren't like ultra white people don't. They evaluate it in a lot different. Like they'll start to evaluate other things first.
So it's not like, for example, if I saw someone shitting on Syrians and then people expected Lebanese people to get mad, I'd be like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure, or anything. Or if a person was shitting on a black person, like a white person would be like, well, hold on, are you being racist? And the black person would be like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
He probably is trying to steal shit from you. Like,
Whoa.
I'm generalizing, but like people like in other places will. We even did this in Israel when we were like, are we allowed to call you like an Arab or whatever? And people like, we don't give a fuck about any of that. Yeah.
I wonder, I know that Springfield, Ohio went for Trump, but I wonder if someone told me the Haitians did as well, but I don't know. I never actually saw that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did, because they'd probably, like, it wouldn't surprise me if
they did what?
If Haitians in Springfield went for Trump, because I would imagine Haitians who have never eaten cats and dogs, maybe thinking it was real that other people were, and thinking, well, like,
or at the end of the day, they
I don't
probably
want
just
these people to,
they don't follow those stories as much and they don't care that much. One thing too is that like our media cycles are getting faster and faster, like to where I think some stories are literally lasting maybe less than a day. Like that, how big was that, or how long was that squirrel story big for? I feel like that might have happened within like a 2-day news cycle, or was it maybe less? Like I feel like I heard about it and then stopped hearing about it in all of like 24 hours. But maybe it was happening earlier and I just didn't hear as much. But like, yeah,
I remember thinking when I saw those pictures of Trump after he got shot at, and thinking he's won. He's got the young male Fight Club fan vote, but yeah, it disappeared in like 48 hours. No one gave a shit.
What the fuck does the?
But other things are eternal, right? Like if you're a streamer.
I mean, people bring it up. No, you just gotta keep making content. Yeah, to keep making content.
Oh, Ethan drama. Did you see this video?
Yeah, I watched it. Where is my insightful?
I don't know. Fuck. I keep seeing Ethan saying things, and I'm like, is he watching like you or me? Because I feel like there are things in this video that I spoke about almost like word for word about like the Hezbollah part about a week ago. But then I'm like, it's also actually. I don't actually think he's watching me. I just think what I'm saying is pretty obvious that other people just don't look into. Yeah. A lot of the time. What the fuck is that?
I drew some dumb shit. Oh, it's this.
Oh no.
Okay, this is the observation that I've made, okay? You know how like a lot of people say that like there's more leftist infighting than there is on the right?
Yeah.
I think that's not true. I think this is what's happening and this is how we're identifying it, okay? So if this is the right over here, I think what's happening is there is leftist unity, but the problem is that the leftist unity isn't actually pointed at the Democratic candidate. So it feels like there's more infighting than there actually is.
You say leftists, you mean like socialists?
Well, and unfortunately in the online world. So like on the right here, like there's so much unity and congruity between all the Republican and conservative like talk shows and everything, but all of them are aimed at Trump. They all support Trump. And on the left, there's a lot of kind of like these unifying talking points among like all the tankies and socialists, right? Things around Gaza and labor and all these things, but none of them are pointed at supporting the Democratic candidate. So you have this unity in the podcasting world and in the influencer world on the left, on the far left, that is actually pretty ideologically congruent, and they do like support and accept each other. But all of it is pointed at no candidate. And if you're somebody that tries to support the candidate over here, you get eviscerated by this group of people. Whereas on the conservative side, if you step outside of supporting Trump, you get eviscerated. And we saw that happen.
Joe Rogan,
Kyle Rittenhouse. Yep. Yeah, it's not even close. You get destroyed. Yeah. And I think this is the big problem. So this is one of the reasons why I want to try to push the DNC towards like, you guys need to support people that are supporting your candidates.
Well, the problem is like, it feels like it's growing now. Go back to that picture.
Fuck. I don't know if I can even.
Okay. It just feels like whatever that pro-Democrat side is, that would be in the middle of those two that actually supports the Democrats. Like, I feel like in the online space, and I can see why, there's just not as much of it. And I guess it makes sense because if you're alternative media, it's obviously people go to alternative media because they don't like what the mainstream tells them or what they consider to be the mainstream. So like it's weird when you go if you go for alternative media, people like you or whoever else, then they see what they would consider a lot of the time like very mainstream talking points. So it's almost like you end up becoming the thing that they came to alt media to get away from, you know?
Well, but Fox News repeats the same talking points as the alternative media. Remember the whole Dominion lawsuit they were literally talking about? We're going to lose people to OAN and Newsmax. We have to lie about Dominion, right? And Fox News is basically on board with everything too. So
yeah, but are there any like alt media conservatives who are like at the Fox News standard, or they would generally just be always OAN or?
Right now, I don't know if they're alt media guys, but they're pretty aligned, right? Like Sidney Powell, and they were all like Fox is promoting a lot of the same, the J6 conspiracy shit Tucker Carlson was doing.
But that goes against you though, right? Because that would mean that like what's more likely than they're growing like an alt media space for like left center libs and social democrats is that you'll see mainstream media like Washington Post leaning towards the extremes because they don't want to lose like the Taylor Lorenz fans or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean?
What I'm saying is that the entire conservative media sphere in the United States was 100% unified behind Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, you were expected to fall in line. That's why people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck had all written articles saying, I will never vote Donald Trump, who are some of the most ardent Donald Trump supporters.
Yeah.
There's nothing equivalent like that on the left now for anything else, right? You said something I was saying was contradicting my point, or what do you mean? Or explain that again.
Because I'm saying that I feel like when people go to alt media, they do it because they want something that's outside of the like Overton window. So that's why they alt media.
Oh no, they just go to alt media because it's more entertaining and easily accessible. That's it.
Is that it? But but ideologically, as on a basis, maybe the people can be more entertaining and the liberal center side, but at the end of the day, ideologically, the narratives are always going to be more entertaining if they're coming from like a hard left or a hard right position. No, like I feel like they're always at an advantage there in all media.
Well, but that might be true, but Fox pushes a lot of the same narratives. It's not like they're that much more radical. Like I bet I could go on Fox News and find talking points about how the election was the Dominion stuff they might be more careful about. But I'm sure about like weird things about the election. I'm sure I could find all the talking points about Ukraine, that Ukrainians are being fed into the meat grinder. I'm sure I could find talking points about like vaccine hesitancy or whatever. Like I'm sure we could find like basically all these same talking points on Fox News versus alternative media. But I think when people are in alternative media, it's just because it's funny and it's easily accessible. I can go on YouTube and I can immediately watch like alt media stuff. And it feels a little bit more, but I don't think it's just for the talking points.
So you don't think you're at a disadvantage against like more hard left people in the sense that you have to give more like nuanced or fact-based takes than the more
are you at a disadvantage? Maybe I'm just saying that like AOC shouldn't be playing Among Us with Hassan Piker, who doesn't support the presidential candidate on your ticket. But if she was like if AOC was on streams with like Josiah or IRI or whatever, stuff like that, or like these like large Democratic politicians that were working with people that were more supportive of the party, I just think that would be better, and it would give more voice and more strength to those people, and they could work on growing and fostering fan bases there.
I mean, I'd like to think that after what's happened in this cycle, they would gravitate towards that because like the far left have just been they've just been crabs in a bucket. They're not helping anyone. They're just hurting. They're just
yeah, they are. Yeah, they're hurting the party. Yeah. Destiny, but Hassan's reach is massive. I mean, that's a Twitch problem. It's a Twitch grand monopoly, but Hassan's reach is also boosted a little bit by getting access to politicians,
Stealing the young men. But then they also argue that Trump may have made young men feel heard during the campaign, and they did experience some genuine improvements during his administration. But then adding the shifts in the job market are real, and it's not clear Trump's policies will help young men adapt. And so with all of this, there are a number of things at play. If you are someone in this demographic that voted for Trump, I would love to hear your thoughts on why you did it, why you didn't do it. And it can be a specific thing or a general thing. But what I will say is I don't know if the left needs a liberal Andrew Tate, but I do think that the left needs to get better about going to the public square. What I mean by that is if you look from independent to right-wing influencers, they have been embraced by the right-wing political machine. You have right-wing politicians that have podcasts. They also go on other people's podcasts.
Fuck you. This is my talking point. I better get credit for it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care if people read my talking points because they're important. I want people to talk about them. And also, he might have independently came to this conclusion because I'm sure he has experience with this too. I'm joking when I say this, like 50% of the time.
I don't mind if people take my tweets.
They also embrace podcasters. They open the doors and fully embrace the likes of Charlie Kirk, lifted him up, and there's a whole range of these folks. Whereas you see that a lot less from the left. Granted, you do have outliers. You have Bernie Sanders. I mean, it was a big deal when he went on Rogan back in 2019. I mean, he's also a great example. He hopped on Theo Vaughn after Trump. AOC is also very skilled in the space. In the lead up to the election, the Harris Walz campaign did some things here and there. But I mean, to give you an anecdotal example, when I went to cover the DNC, there was like this whole official way to try and get access to certain politicians. we got one of the probably, I don't even know how many people we requested. But then separately, even though they told us not to do it, we started reaching out to campaigns, and we got Governor Josh Shapiro. He seemingly understood the value of talking to people in our space. We had to film the things in like echoey back room, but he took the time. Whereas with, I guess, likely soon to be former Senator Bob Casey, my team worked to get that interview. We had something set up, and then they just bailed on us. They genuinely felt like they thought Casey was the get and not the other way around. That he was being given access to an audience of 18 to 35-year-old voters. I understand, I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm not saying I'm like some crazy big deal, but I'm saying that there seems to be a disconnect for a number of politicians, and I think it feels like more so on the left that they don't understand the value proposition. You go to where the people are. But yeah, like I said, I'd really love to know your thoughts on this whole story and situation. Then we gotta talk about how, well, Donald Trump is not president technically yet. His victory alone, as expected, has already thrown a wrench into the criminal cases against him. Because right now you have multiple outlets now reporting that Special Counsel Jack Smith is an active
Yeah, true.
Let's say Viserys Targaryen lands with 40,000 Dothraki screamers at his back. We hole up in our castles. Wise move. Only a fool would meet the Dothraki in an open field. They leave us in our castles. They go from town to town looting.
I don't know how this is relevant to anything, but thank you. Gods, I was strong back then.
What is it?
The Bobby B bot in the Free Folk subreddit.
5-1. That's that one. That clip.
Oh, 5 united armies versus 1 united
Yeah.
force. What they were going for. Gotcha.
Like, more people in America probably hate Trump than like him, right?
Maybe, yeah.
5-1. And Trump is Robert Baratheon's big fucking fat chunky fist.
Based. The American Academy.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
In recent weeks, Americans have been horrified to see students and faculty at Harvard and other once respected universities expressing support for the savages and jihadists who attacked Israel. We spend more money on higher education than any other country, and yet they're turning our students into communists and terrorists and sympathizers of many, many different dimensions. We can't let this happen. It's time to offer something.
Sympathizers in multiple dimensions? Oh, no.
They're turning our students into communists and terrorists and sympathizers of many, many different dimensions. We can't
Not
let
good.
this happen. It's time to offer something dramatically different. Under the plan I'm announcing today, we will take the billions and billions of dollars that we will collect by taxing, fining, and suing excessively large private university endowments, and we will then use that money to endow a new institution called the American Academy. Its mission will be to make a truly world-class education available to every American, free of charge, and do it without adding a single dime to the federal debt.
What? We're going to do... Oh, that... Fuck me. This is why I like Donald Trump, okay? Because people on the left are fucking retarded, okay? Because we got to increase taxes and the deficit.
fuck that.
Why not just make it so that we have free school for everybody, but it also doesn't cost any money? Amazing. Why didn't we just think of that? Fuck.
This institution will gather an
Tires will pay for this
the
one.
highest quality educational content covering the full spectrum of human knowledge and skills, and make that material available to every American citizen online for free. Whether you want lectures or ancient histories or an introduction to financial accounting or training in a skilled trade, the goal will be to deliver it and get it done properly using study groups, mentors, industry partnerships, and the latest breakthrough in computing. This will be a truly top-tier education.
Well, with you just need to say quantum computing, and I would have believed him.
Through in computing, this will be a truly top-tier education option for the people. It will be strictly non-political, and there will be no wokeness or jihadism allowed. None of that's going to be allowed. Most importantly, the American Academy.
Thank God.
Wait,
Finally, some jihadist-free schools. Thank God. That's just what we need.
What is he? Is he just? He's just describing the education system. You can do courses.
Except he's going to do it for free. Are you stupid?
Free education.
Hello?
Okay.
Academy will compete directly with the existing and very costly four-year university system by granting students degree credentials that the U.S. government and all federal contractors will henceforth recognize. The Academy will award the full and complete equivalent of a bachelor's degree, in addition to help the 40 million Americans who have some college education.
Like, it's just that you were talking earlier. You don't understand this because you weren't in this country, and I don't think you followed U.S. politics at this time, okay? There was this thing called Common Core. You know anything about this?
Nope.
Americans lost their fucking mind because conservatives, so liberals basically wanted to have like a set of common curriculum goals. Like everybody should be able to read or do math by whatever grade. Conservatives lost their fucking mind about the concept of like top-down education coming from the government. And it wasn't even like a curriculum dictation. It was just like a set of standards.
Okay.
And they, I don't even know how much of that initiative like even ended up passing, but conservatives lost their mind over it. But now when you're talking about like a government school that is provided for, every student by the federal government, top-down education that will compete with, like, now they're like fine with it. Like, what the fuck? Okay.
But no degree. The American Academy will grant credit for past coursework at legacy institutions and give you the chance to complete your education at the American Academy for free and much more quickly than is now possible or available. This will be a revolution in higher education and will provide life-changing opportunities for tens of millions of our citizens. Enjoy it, learn from it, and thank you.
That's what I
I
want.
wonder if that'd be like a good litmus test with this kind of shit to see how successful it is, because that's it's like I'm gonna do this more often now because it's gonna become more accurate. Like the do you know much about how the Nazis tried to set up their own cultural institutions in Germany?
Yeah, they tried to open a whole bunch of like art exhibits and stuff that was just run by. I have no idea.
There were art exhibits. There were like youth clubs. There were like sort of like country clubs and different like family-friendly things that people could go to, or like sports events or festivals.
So basically, they were trying to set like the YNCA.
Yeah. One of them was Adolf Hitler schools. They were called. They were like these day schools, but they could only. The problem with them was that people often got perks for going to them, but people tended to just go to them largely because they were expected to, or because because they got perks out of it. But typically there was just like they struggled to get people to attend these like specific cultural institutions and like community building practices that they'd set up. Like people just weren't that interested, and they had to basically just bribe people with perks to do it. Because I guess at the end of the day, most people like they were tolerant of that regime because it was more stable than what had preceded it. But that idea of trying to just like indoctrinate people in a way that wasn't forced was just really, really difficult. They couldn't do it.
I wonder if I don't know what I wonder. Oh, what you just said reminded me of like the KKK. Like in the vast majority of America, like the KKK was not like we're just gonna run out and like kill black people today. Like a lot of it was like community embedded stuff where they did like they did activities. They like ABL said they brought Christmas presents to people, but like legitimately the KKK did sort of like a ton of community functions. It was like a little labor union, like a little group that you join in your community basically. So it's easy to smuggle in other beliefs when it's part of that. Or like you said with Nasrallah and Hezbollah, where they tried to like embed themselves in the community, rebuild shit and all that. Yeah.
Well, they did a really good job at that compared to others. Like the British National Party was this little like British fascist party from the 2000s, and they held these festivals that was supposed to like be a celebration of British culture. And a couple of journalists went in there and secretly recorded it, and it's just the entire thing was like just people in tents telling racist jokes to each other, like for the entire thing. And also, I think there's a few people, like what a gully is.
I have no idea. Is that a British word?
I can't even say the full word, I think, because it's racist. But they were like setting fire to these gully dolls and shit, like getting kids to do it. So,
Jesus.
I think much more often than not, they fail miserably. So you want to get more involved with DNC people, like podcasting or interviews or?
Yeah, I finally got my next big step now is because I always said I wanted to start a media company, but my first big step was getting a podcast at some point. But I finally got my studio set up and all that going. So now I think I need to figure out my first full-time like hire for like starting like a political show. My ascension to Daily Wire status. That's like the next goal.
You want to be Daily Wire? Okay.
Destiny, would you or Lunderbox put it past Trump to encourage Netanyahu to go wild on Gaza between now and January 21st, since Biden/Kamala are lame ducks, so he could end the war after inauguration to credit? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on in Gaza right now. I don't think Trump is even smart enough to be that have that much forethought.
The problem is that Trump has somehow courted a shitload of, I don't know why, it's just because people don't care about anything. Trump's managed to court a lot of people who actually are very pro-Palestine. Like the fucking, oh God, what's the perfect example? The Jake Shields, you know that guy?
Yeah, the crazy MMA fighter.
Yeah, those fucking nutters. Yeah, there's a little bit of that because obviously Trump supporters a lot of them are really anti-Semitic, like the Sneeko fucking Aiden Ross.
Yeah, but they turn their brain off. They have to ration because Trump is like one of the super pro-Israel. Yeah, holy shit.
So I imagine Trump might just. I don't know how much he'll do, but I know Netanyahu is already preparing for the Trump presidency. He got rid of Gallant just around the same time, and he was like the last supposedly moderating voice of the war, even though he was a bit of a nutter to start with. He opposed the red line in the Philadelphia corridor. Yeah, the siege quote was at the beginning, but then for whatever reason, he started like...
I thought he was pushing back against because they said they were going to siege like northern Gaza like a month or two ago.
Yeah, so he pushed back on the more recent stuff. Yeah, he pushed back on, Netanyahu wanted to control the Philadelphia corridor, and that basically shuts Egypt out of every negotiation because that's a red line for them. Gallant opposed that. He said it wasn't secure.
The Philadelphia corridor, was that the road in the northwest that goes from like the middle of the Gaza beach up to the north?
It's from Gaza to Egypt, the Gaza-Egypt border. That's the Philadelphia corridor.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
And Gallant said that it wasn't necessary for security, which is a big thing because he's got the experience, and Netanyahu thinks it is necessary. He also
tossed a base. Let's get him out of here.
He also said that basically we've achieved everything militarily in Gaza. There's no more military gains to make. Now it's just going to be like whack-a-mole and kicking the can down the road for a future plan. He wants Israel in the future to just be outside of Gaza completely with like a kind of security perimeter and maybe like a corridor, but not actually in the strip itself, in the urban areas. But yeah, Netanyahu ditched him and replaced him with a yes man who's got no experience. And he also appointed this guy, Yechiel Leiter, to the Israel ambassador to the U.S. This was after Trump won. This guy is a huge Kahanist settler, particularly for Hebron. I wonder if he knows Yishai, actually. He might.
He should. I'm pretty sure Yishai is like the world's most popular Hebron fucking spokesperson or whatever.
Yeah, although this guy, do you remember Yishai getting just a little bit irritated by me asking him about Goldstein?
Yes,
murderer.
Of course.
So this guy, who's now Israel's ambassador to the U.S., was part of the same organization, the Jewish Defense League, that Goldstein was part of. And he actually knew Goldstein for like 10 years because they were both settlers in the Hebron area. So that guy, who is a very ideologically committed settler for both Gaza and the West Bank, is now, he's going to be the Israel ambassador to the U.S. So Netanyahu that's a very intentional move, right? Like I don't think settlements in Gaza are off the table anymore. Like they might build some fucking in one of the corridors to just say, oh, well, we might as well have people living here if there's security here. Yeah.
10-minute video.
That quote, "My elect Vance as his running mate."
Okay, I'm good.
By the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form.
I hate how much these pussies these guys are. God.
I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once.
Hey, why does he sound scared when he's saying that?
Because they always do this. They always want to...
I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him.
Oh, this was true in 2022. I remember me and Lex had a conversation about this. We talked about this, that Rogan really didn't want to have Trump on the show. Or at least that's what Lex told me. Who knows?
The night is still young. We'll see.
If I have him on, the night is still young?
Yeah.
You think I'll have him on?
I think you'll have him on.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Because you'll have Putin on?
Jesus. And you're competitive as fuck. No. I think ultimately, I mean, you've had a lot of people that I think you may otherwise be skeptical. Would I have a good conversation? Which I think is your metric. You don't care about politics, so can I have a good conversation? And I think you had like people like Kanye on, for example, and you had a great conversation with him. I think but
Kanye's an artist. But Kanye doing well or not doing.
Why was I link this video?
They want to build. The people are going crazy not to build them, but where you have them, the whales are washing up on shore. So in 50 years, they had one whale come ashore. Now they had like 18 come in the last year.
What is happening with the whales? I've read about this.
Well, they say that the wind drives them crazy. It's a vibration because you have those. Those things are 50-story buildings, some of them.
Right, and they're 50. Super sensitive to vibrations.
They have those.
Sounds.
The wind is rushing, the things are blowing. It's a vibration, and it makes noise. You know what it is? I want to be a whale psychiatrist. It drives the.
That's why Kamala shouldn't have gone on Joe Rogan, because he's not letting her get away with being normal. Like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't let her get away with like 1% of that fucking bullshit. Yeah.
How are we doing the American Academy while also getting rid of the Department of Education at the same time? Is there going to be a different department that he makes, or?
Yeah. Or there didn't. Yeah. It all works. Okay.
What's happening to our auto workers is an absolute disgrace and an outrage beyond belief. Auto workers are getting totally ripped off by crooked Joe Biden and also their horrendous leadership. because these people are allowing our country to do these electric vehicles that very few people want. And it's a mandate. So you'll ultimately be forced to drive in a car that goes for an hour, and then you have to have it recharged. I hope you don't want to go very far away. Biden has imposed the outlandish requirement that 67% of all new vehicles must be electric in less than 10 years. That means Michigan and places that make cars, you can forget about it. You better get your union working because you can forget about it. Those cars are all going to be made in China. According to the UAW president himself, one auto company CEO used the word brutality over 40 times in a single conversation to describe Joe Biden. I call him Crooked Joe because he's the most corrupt president in history. He's also the most incompetent.
Why does he have to explain it?
Foolish electric vehicle mandate. That's how bad this policy is. Your union heads know it, but the union bosses don't want to do anything about it because they're not leaders. But you know who's voting for me? The people in the union. Yeah, the union heads and the Crooked Joe keep using the phrase fair transition. There's no fair transition. First of all, people don't want the electric car, and the ones that want it should get it. But we want to have all forms of transportation and all forms of motorization to describe this unnecessary forced transition to electric vehicles. But there's no such thing as fair transition that destroys over 100,000 auto manufacturing jobs. It'll be much more than that. Waste.
He's really, I don't know if this is just like a selection bias, but he's like really interested in the education thing, right? There's so many videos about that. Despite someone who wants it to be a states' rights, yeah, fuck.
Damn, yeah, there's a lot of education stuff. That's pretty spooky. Jesus.
I hadn't even thought about that. He talks about that a lot.
Crush the deep state with impoundment. What?
Crooked Joe Biden, our disgraced president, has wasted trillions of taxpayer dollars in less than 3 years, causing uncontrolled inflation that is crushing working families. Reining in Biden's wasteful and unnecessary spending is vital to stopping inflation and rescuing our economy from ruin. But the pain of the spending cuts must be borne by the special interests in Washington bureaucrats, not by American families and American seniors in particular. For 200 years under our system of government, it was undisputed that the president had the constitutional power to stop unnecessary spending through what is known as impoundment. Very simply, this meant that if Congress provided more funding than was needed to run the government, the president could refuse to waste the extra funds and instead return the money to the general treasury and maybe even lower your taxes, although we did give you the biggest tax reduction in history and the biggest regulation reduction.
Well, some of you got the biggest tax
and they still are there, although they're disappearing rapidly under Biden. Thomas Jefferson famously used this power, as did many other presidents, until it was wrongfully curtailed by the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. Not a very good act. This disaster of a law is clearly unconstitutional, a blatant violation of the separation of powers. When I return to the White House, I will do everything I can to challenge the Impoundment Control Act in court and, if necessary, get Congress to overturn it. We will overturn it. I will then use the president's long-recognized impoundment power to squeeze the bloated federal bureaucracy for massive savings. This will be in the form of tax reductions for you. This will help quickly to stop inflation and slash the deficit. To prepare for this eventuality, on day one, I will order every federal agency to begin identifying large chunks of their budgets that can be saved through efficiencies and waste reduction using impoundment. Of course, this will not include national defense, and unlike Ron DeSanctimonious, who doesn't really know what's happening, I will not lay a finger on Medicare or Social Security. He wants to destroy Social Security and basically obliterate Medicare. These are benefits for our seniors. We are not going to touch it. There are many other things we can do. We're not going to let Ron DeSantis do anything to hurt Medicare or Social Security.
Sanctimonious. He's DeSanctimonious.
Is he really shortened it to DeSanctus? Yeah. I think I can see why it works, because like I guess people just don't have the education in a lot of these things. Like I don't know what the fuck he's saying there with the economy.
This is just like a standard. It's a politician talking about. We're going to come in and we're going to cut waste. We're going to go line by line through the code. It's always just like
the right wing, the far right in the UK does that so much. Like their manifesto was like 50 billion of waste. It's like our budget's not that big. Like 50 billion of waste, and it's like they just wouldn't say what the waste was. They just say waste.
Never do.
And then,
other parts of the government can be used to strengthen Medicare and Social Security for years to come. Reasserting the president's historic impoundment authority will also restore critical negotiating leverage with Congress to keep spending under control. Very simple. We're going to keep spending under control. We had it done, and then COVID came in, and we had to do some things to help save our country. We did a great job, but we were starting to make lots of money. We were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant. We were going to be taking in massive amounts of money from the liquid gold that we have under our feet more than any other nation, and we were going to reduce taxes and pay off debt. This is the only way we will ever return a balanced budget, impoundment. Just as importantly, bringing back impoundment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing. They love killing. And the globalists out of our government. We're going to get the warmongers and the globalists out of our government. With impoundment, we can simply choke off
Chronic childhood illnesses. Oh no. Nobody wants to ask the tough questions. Not like Donald Trump does. Just exercise more.
In recent
We just need more
decades, there
recess.
has been an unexplained and alarming growth in the prevalence of chronic illnesses and health problems, especially in children. We've seen a stunning rise in autism, autoimmune disorders, obesity, infertility, serious allergies, and respiratory challenges. It's time to ask, what is going on? Is it the food that they eat, the environment that we live in, the overprescription of certain medications? Is it the toxins and chemicals that are present in our homes? Every year we spend hundreds of billions of dollars to treat these chronic problems rather than looking at what is causing them in the first place. Too often our public health establishment is too close to big pharma. They make a lot of money, big pharma, big corporations and other special interests, and does not want to ask the tough questions about what is happening to our children's health. If big pharma defrauds American patients and taxpayers and puts profits above people, they must be investigated and held accountable. When I'm back in the White House, I will establish a special presidential commission of independent minds who are not bought and paid for by big pharma, and I will charge them with investigating what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic illnesses. I understand big pharma, I believe, better than anybody else. I know where they're coming from. And then I will ask them to publish recommendations for how every American child can have a safe and healthy childhood. This is a conversation that is long overdue, and it's a conversation that American families deserve. American families must have this conversation, and they must have a leader, a president, who can do something about this problem. And I will do that. Thank you.
He wants RFK to be in charge of health, or
Hopefully, I
what's the role?
don't know if that's happening. We'll see. Hopefully not.
Man, that's so RFK, and that kind of like because he's like the current symbol of the Kennedy dynasty, right? Going from JFK to him, that really reflects America's trajectory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Joe Biden has launched an illegal foreign invasion of our country, allowing a record number of illegal aliens to storm across our borders. From all over the world they came. Under Biden's current policies, even though these millions of illegal border crossers have entered the country unlawfully, all of their future children will become automatic U.S. citizens. Can you imagine? They'll be eligible for welfare, taxpayer-funded health care, the right to vote, chain migration, and countless other government benefits, many of which will also profit the illegal alien parents. This policy is a reward for breaking the laws of the United States and is obviously a magnet helping draw the flood of illegals across our borders. They come by the millions and millions and millions. They come from mental institutions. They come from jails, prisoners. Some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever see. The United States is among the only countries in the world that says that even if neither parent is a citizen nor even lawfully in the country, their future children are automatic citizens the moment the parents trespass onto our soil. As has been laid out by many scholars, this current policy is based on a historical myth and a willful misinterpretation of the law by the open borders advocates. There aren't that many of them around. It's amazing. Who wants this? Who wants to have prisoners coming into our country? Who wants to have people who are very sick coming into our country? People from mental institutions coming into our country? And come they will. They're coming by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order.
Has it been confirmed whether or not he thinks asylum seekers are actually people who came out of insane asylums?
It honestly wouldn't surprise me. Nice website.
God, he's so it's just really exhausting listening to even just a few of those videos.
Dangerously deranged. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
To federal agency.
Give me 1 minute 40 to finish this.
That under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. My policy will choke off a major incentive for continued illegal immigration, deter more migrants from coming, and encourage many of the aliens Joe Biden has unlawfully let into our country to go back to their home countries. They must go back. Nobody could afford this.
See, this is the oh God, I don't know what you call this. Loner Box is laughing, but that does happen. They don't check your record when you cross illegally. I don't.
What does that mean if you cross illegally? Where is this?
This S person.
They don't check your record when you cross illegally. What, like if you evade detection? How can they check anything? They're not catching you. What are you talking about?
I don't know. We're going from, if he thinks asylum seeker means someone who is an asylum escapee, but they're like, oh no, actually, well, did you know that a non-zero number of fucking illegal migrants probably did come out of asylums? Like, what the fuck? That's not the same. Oh God, what do you call that? That's a thing. It's a fucking.
A homonym?
It's a
like when two words sound the same.
It's a very strong symptom of fucking brain damage when
dementia.
I don't know. Fuck.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring.
Oh, Schedule F is what he's talking about. So only political sycophants. You can evaluate whether or not somebody will be hired based on how much they're willing to throw at Trump.
The president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep states.
How about you actually justify citizenship by being born in the country? What do you mean? That's been the... How long has it been like that in the United States?
Are they saying you should justify why it's a good thing? Like why that's...
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure... I think that's been the thing since literally the founding of the country. Birthright citizenship is guaranteed to most people born in U.S. territory by the first part of the Citizen Clause, introduced by the 14th Amendment. Okay, never mind. So from 1868.
Because they weren't sure about making slave citizens or some stupid shit. Or, yeah.
All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. That seems pretty clear to me. That seems pretty straightforward. What do you mean? What more justification do you need?
It was to do with slavery, wasn't it? That's why that became a thing.
I don't know what the
amendment overrode the Supreme
14th
Court
Amendment
overrode Dred Scott versus Sanford.
This is also the amendment that had the clause about the president being
they can't be an insurrectionist.
Yeah. But they overturned that part. So
equal protections, etc. Yeah.
What's wrong changing it? If you want to change it, you need to change it by constitutional amendment. But why should that be important other than an appeal to tradition or authority? What do you mean, why should it be important? It's part of our fucking Constitution, which is the highest... If you want to change it, you need a constitutional amendment to change it.
That's still an appeal to authority. Why is it the good thing to do?
Why is it a good thing to do? Because an American doesn't mean anything. We are literally soil. It is a country that exists, and we are like... is it ethno-nationalist? There's a name for it, but like our
that's not the word for it.
it's there's a name for nation. There's a name for like an ethnicity that's literally just built upon the nationality of people. I don't remember what it is. There's a word for this that I'm thinking of, but we don't have like there is no shared racial background. There's no shared like there's not like an American ethnicity or an American racial group or whatever. If you're born in the United States of America, you're a U.S. citizen. That's part of the beauty of being in the U.S. That's it. No questions asked. You should. You should be.
Unless I'm being really fucking stupid, I'm pretty sure this is how most countries do it. Because why would you have citizenship for a country that you're not like born in or growing up in?
Oh, that's another issue too. Is like,
citizenship, but
yeah, you run the risk of maybe creating like stateless. Do you acknowledge that it can be abused at times though? Literally everything can be abused. People will say the most retarded fucking shit. God, I wish I could force feed you dog shit while you have to sit there and swallow all of it. It's such a disgusting question. Because people say shit like, do you acknowledge you can be abused at times? And you go like, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? And they're like, that's my God-given right. Don't you dare touch my fucking guns. Don't ever touch my guns. Like, yeah, literally everything can be abused, Chief. Welcome to the fucking real world. What a stupid fucking comment to even type that. You thought you were cooking with that comment, and you're actually shoving your own dick in the microwave.
Whoa. It's going to be 4 years of a lot of that, isn't it?
It's just a stupid comment. He's so fucking retarded that you even typed that.
How do you feel about going back to your internal dissent within the Democrat Party or within the left? I know a few people right now have been arguing about how much of a good idea it was for Harris to talk so much about how she was getting moderate Republicans on board and Dick Cheney and shit. Meanwhile, Trump's talking about no new wars and isolationism and shit. Was that a good idea?
I don't know if she could have talked about anything that would have changed things. I truly don't know how.
Not in like an outcome determinative way, but like
I mean, I think showing that you're getting like support from a lot of different people is kind of nice, but I mean, like, I don't know if the people that were supporting her represented their constituents or the people underneath them.
Was it true that moderate Republicans didn't even actually move at all, or registered Republicans? That they didn't move Democrat?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it yet.
Because I guess like moderate Republicans don't really exist anymore. That's the understanding I had. Apart from
depends on how you define a moderate Republican.
Dick Cheney, yeah.
Spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert.
Same people that would suck off like Edward Snowden and stuff like that. Oh yeah, come down. Yeah, God, I hate.
Spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
Why wouldn't you just have your intelligence agencies do that? You're going to create an intelligence agency to monitor an intelligence agency?
Yeah.
So what, 3 Republican presidents from now, are we going to create an intelligence agency to monitor the intelligence agency that monitors the intelligence agency? Like what?
He's just upset about intelligence agencies talking about Russian interference.
Yeah, it's just like random, retarded, stupid shit.
Like campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America.
Destiny, the 14th Amendment says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, you absolute spastic. Oh, I'm sorry. So if an illegal immigrant murders someone in the United States, they're not subject to our jurisdiction? What do you think that means, you retard? Holy shit.
America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Man, he sounds like he's learned a lot since 2016, at least in terms of how to consolidate control and which areas of government to go after.
It's funny, actually. One day I'll get to the World War II arc. Wasn't Hitler's rise? I wonder how much it's mirrored. These are just like random facts. I know. I don't even know how much. But like, so for instance, Hitler was in government and was jailed for something, but was released, right? Didn't this happen?
He wasn't in government. He was jailed when he was a nobody. He was the beer hall putsch. He was jailed for, it was supposed to be 5 years. I think he got out in 9 months.
Weren't his offenses, wasn't it politically involved somehow, or no? Am I making this up completely?
They tried to coup the government, yeah.
So he wasn't in government, tried to coup, yeah.
They fucking kidnapped the guy. The idea was to march on Berlin and seize the government.
Gotcha.
Munich, yeah.
So he was arrested for that and put in jail. Didn't they release him early for something?
They released him early, yeah.
Nice, that's good. To show a sign of good faith.
So the thing with the Weimar Republic was, coming out of World War I, people were really sad about the Kaiser abdicating, like monarchists. So as a way to appease the monarchists, a lot of the judiciary, which were appointed by the Kaiser directly, they let them stay. So the judges, the civil service, a lot of them were literally appointed by the Kaiser, and they stayed. And then they also had the constitution set up in a way that in times of national emergency, they could invoke Article 58 and suspend civil liberties and rule by decree for a short period. So they did these things to appease them. And obviously when Hitler tries to coup this government, there's a lot of disdain for the Weimar Republic. So Hitler is treated very softly by the judges because they're all monarchists. And they allowed him to, his opening statement was like 4 hours long. They just let him ramble. Nice. They allowed him to bully witnesses. They allowed him to avoid answering questions. And then at the end, they basically said, well, yeah, this was a crime. Normally, you'd be executed for doing this.
So it was
you did it out of love for your country. So they let him get away with it, basically. Yeah.
So he was an insurrectionist.
He was a proper insurrectionist.
And he got to dodge all of his criminal responsibilities.
Yep, treated very nicely by the courts. Yeah.
And then he ran back again, and he knew how to do it better the second time. Based. Okay.
That's the thing. Like the argument that I feel like didn't come up with the Peace Corps debate is like, I feel like it makes it, the really simple way to put it is that January 6th committee comes out, the end of 2022? And they make their recommendations. They clearly assert that Trump was involved in an insurrection. And from then on, they know it's pretty likely he's going to fucking
Wait, who are we talking about right now?
Trump. And
no, who they knew he was going to be involved in an insurrection?
The January 6th committee.
Oh, yes. Okay, in Congress.
So they make their recommendations. At that point, if you're going to be a functioning democracy, it has to be that you have to resolve that criminal case before the next election, because you can't just have it up in the air.
Careful.
Careful. Because
I'm sorry, I got to call you out. I got to call you out real quick. I'm so sorry. Okay, because you're falling into the trap of you think you're arguing a point, but in the reality, every single person already agrees with everything you're saying. You think right now you're arguing against conservatives, but conservatives knew all of this, because what did they say in 2016 with Hillary Clinton? What did Donald Trump himself say about Hillary Clinton? What did Charlie Kirk say about Hillary Clinton? Do you remember?
Lock her up?
You cannot even vote for somebody who is running for president who's under investigation by the FBI. You can't even vote. You can't even vote for somebody who's under, because we have to resolve these cases. We have to know if they. Why did Comey come out and say something? Well, the people needed to know what was going on, that there was an investigation. So So they already know this. But with Trump, they play fucking stupid, or they are stupid. But yes, you're absolutely correct.
What's the clip of Trump saying that the mob takes the fifth? Like, you shouldn't plead the fifth if you're innocent.
Oh,
and then he played the fifth 450 times.
He's fucking retarded. Trump has never sat in front of anybody and spoke honestly. I don't think he even.
But yeah, that's like. I wasn't arguing with conservatives. I was arguing with Pisco.
I know.
Because, that's already the big fucking weakness, is that you allowed that to go unresolved before the election.
What does slashing a trade deficit mean? What do you think he thinks a trade deficit is? Let's listen. Do you know what trade deficit means?
Something, the difference between imports and exports.
That's
what
a trade deficit is. Yeah. Okay. I think that some people think trade deficit means you're borrowing money, or it's like a deficit, like a. I think that's what Trump thinks it is. But let's listen to this. Maybe
Under Joe Biden's nation-wrecking policies, our trade deficits are exploding like never before, killing jobs, killing factories, and killing America's economic future. As president, I began to successfully slash our trade deficits before the pandemic. Now the Biden administration has us bleeding wealth on a historic scale like never seen before. These gigantic trade deficits are also known as losses. Last year we lost.
Okay, yeah, you're fucking retarded.
Lost $383 billion to China.
That's
and nearly
okay.
Can we go to your YouTube chat? Sorry.
Yeah.
Who is that? Where they were up. They need to scroll up. They said, by Lorna Box's logic, you can block any political candidate just by throwing charges at them. Like, I think if a fucking presidential candidate is on fucking trial for shoplifting, the public can make their decision. America has a fucking amendment that says if you try to coup the government, you don't trust the results of the election that you lost, that you probably shouldn't be allowed to run for office again. It's it's a slightly different charge. It's a pretty specific charge.
Not to mention, Republicans are the ones that have made this a rule, because we had a way to block political candidates. It was called impeachment. And Republicans decided that you can't impeach a person who's no longer in office. That is the only reason why Donald Trump survived conviction in our Senate, which would have blocked him from running again for re-election. Because he had enough votes for the Republicans to convict him in the Senate, but they said, well, we don't think that you can impeach a non-sitting president. So even if you want to argue that you need charges now to stop somebody from office, because that's the whole reason why America has the impeachment process that's independent from criminal charges, is because they said in the past, there's only two ways to get rid of a king. You either fabricate charges against him or you kill him. We need a way to remove people from office that doesn't involve the weaponization of our legal system, and it doesn't involve having to murder the person or coup them. And so we created impeachment. And then Republicans turned around and said, oh, I'm sorry, you can't impeach me because I'm not in office anymore. So fuck you, retard.
Yeah, but what was that? Oh, wait. Trump was impeached by the Senate convicted by the Senate for
no,
January 6th. He wasn't, though, was he?
No,
because
didn't
they fall short of the votes? Wasn't it 57?
They said they fell short of the votes because they said that they can't convict an unseated president, even though they agreed with all the charges.
So people would have voted. There are people who would have voted in favor had he been sitting. That's their argument.
Maybe, but there were enough people that said, like McConnell himself said, that I don't think the constitutionality of this is questionable. I don't think you can convict an unseated president. That is 100% true. Yes.
Okay, but he did. So I don't think he said it as plainly as I would convict if he were sitting president.
Yes, he did. He yes. No. Yes. He literally yes.
Oh no.
Donald Trump impeachment.
Would they have got the extra 10 then? Because it was 10
yes,
short.
There were enough
Fuck.
people that said that they'd agreed that he did do it. He did everything that he said. But they said that we cannot convict him because we don't know about the questionality or the constitutionality of it. I'm going to see if I can find some quotes. I think this might be on my Obsidian somewhere. Okay. After the vote on the acquittal, so he was voted to be convicted in the Senate, 57 to 43, but you need a super majority.
10, yeah.
Mitch McConnell said, there's no question that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. But he voted against conviction due to his interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. Because they didn't think you could convict somebody that's already left office.
It's so open. God.
McConnell said that the process of impeachment and conviction is a limited tool and that he believes Trump is not constitutionally eligible for conviction. The Constitution gives us a particular role. This body is not invited to act as the nation's overarching moral tribunal, he said. He said that the text of the question of constitutionality is legitimately ambiguous and that he respects his colleagues for reaching either the conclusion to acquit or convict.
Does that wait? If Trump comes back into office, could they impeach him again and get McConnell to reverse his vote?
Theoretically, they could, but they won't.
Yeah.
Without that conviction, Section 3 doesn't apply to Trump. That's why he was allowed to run again. You're wrong and you're lying, and that's not true. Nothing you said about that is true.
Wow. What's Section 3?
Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that said that a prior oath taker of the United States of America shall not engage, they shall not be eligible for president or any office or whatever if they've engaged in insurrection against or aided enemies or whatever to whatever thereof. But that was essentially scorched by the Supreme
And that's
Court.
the sentence that's supposedly vague about...
it's not vague.
It's not vague at all, yeah.
There's nothing vague about it whatsoever. That's why in the Supreme Court decision, they said, well, this is confusing. It would create a patchwork of different decisions amongst the states. They just didn't like how it played out.
Going through some of U.S. foundational stuff, I feel like a lot of these judges and lawyers, they can argue anything from the Constitution. Like what's the case from the 90s about how they tried to say that the federal government could not allow you to bring guns into schools because of the Commerce Clause?
I don't know.
Because of basically the argument is that, you know, like it goes back to an old 1800s argument about how they had a federal bank and then they said that the states weren't allowed to tax that bank or some shit.
I don't know anything about that.
The basic argument was that the federal government was able to have these kind of like oversteps on the states. They were allowed to supersede state rights on these issues because it allowed them to facilitate commerce, like interstate commerce. So like a bank is quite clearly interstate commerce. So the problem is that people argued that the Commerce Clause gives Congress a lot of implied powers. They can pass a lot of things that are not clearly written out in the Constitution because they can just appeal to the Commerce Clause. And then that would apply later on to the New Deal and the federal minimum wage and shit like that. But in the 90s, they tried to do it with allowing someone to take a gun into a school. So this high school student takes a gun into a school against the law, and they go to court, but they say that there's no way you can like stretch from the Commerce Clause. This has nothing to do with interstate commerce taking a gun to a school, and it's unconstitutional. It's like a violation of Second Amendment rights or states' rights. So eventually the Supreme Court ruled that the Commerce Clause does have like limits. You can't just do anything with it. But the fact that they were able to have that law in place at all is quite wacky. Like, because like the inference is just so... It's such a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know. You're talking about U.S. v. Lopez. I haven't read the case, so I can't comment on it. But
and I think there's a whole the judge who rules on it basically says that if we allow this, then you're going to be able to make inferences upon inferences upon inferences, and basically allow the federal government to overstep in like any way they want. Yeah.
What is this? There were no criminal charges that stuck, so there was no insurrection, legally speaking. First of all, that's not true. You don't need criminal charges for there to be an insurrection, number one. And number two, nothing about that amendment said anything about criminal charges, so you're just wrong. You are just wrong. This, Charlie Kirk, 2016.
Oh.
This is what I mean when I say they have no values.
Yeah, big face, though. Or a big head, small face.
All over the world, the largest rate deficit in the history of our country by far. Through these unsustainable losses, we are handing China more and more of our jobs, more and more victories, and long-term prosperity in exchange for cheap, disposable consumer goods. We foolishly send China hundreds of billions of dollars, and China uses those dollars to buy up our real estate, our factories, and our wealth-creating industries, and they also use all that money to build up their military, and they're doing it rapidly. In short, Joe Biden is America on a path to subservience and economic ruin, and everybody knows it, and other countries are laughing at us. Under my leadership, we will end his gigantic job-killing trade deficits, reclaim our independence, and launch a great economic boom.
Based.
When I was president, the so-called experts hysterically predicted that my tariffs on China, Mexico, and other countries would crash the economy.
Do you think the president is an officer? Yes, of course he is. It's retarded to say otherwise. And the Supreme Court agrees with me there, too. That was never a real, true argument. Anybody that argued that was a dipshit.
Instead, the opposite happened, exactly the opposite. Under my policies, we had virtually no inflation. We had tremendous job creation. We had...
The subreddit is a giant circle jerk now. Yeah, it's annoying how circle jerky my shit becomes. And it's probably one of the worst times it's ever been in terms of circle jerky. I agree with that. But it's also really hard because there is no good Republican or good like Trump defender. All of you guys are fucking insane. You're crazy. So I don't even know how to have a balanced other side right now because like people that support Trump are fucking lunatics. Like I don't know what to. There is no like good faith, legitimate defense of any of the shit that he says. It's wild.
It's like I feel like that's happening with so many different issues because I like to keep a few critics around for the Israel-Palestine stuff as well. But like for every one good one you keep, there's like fucking 10 or 20 either like what fucking Kahanists or Hamas supporters. Yeah, it's difficult.
First time in many, many years. And we had more than 17,000 new factories open up for business right here in the USA. Through my strategic national manufacturing initiative, we will do it again. We'll be bigger and better and stronger than we've ever been.
Stop the America Last warmongers. America Last. My God. To end crime. Oh, we're ending crime. Yes. We just need to end all crime. The guy, 34, convicted felon, by the way.
Well, he's going to throw out enough pardons.
True. Oh, true. He kind of ends, yeah. Does that count as ending the crime if he pardons everybody?
Rate. Absolutely. Take it down a couple of percentage points.
I think that's Pixie.
You even have a third mic?
Do I have a third? Weren't you here on election night?
Yeah. In.
We're streaming. We're live, by the way. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, be careful. Apparently, I need to say that a lot in here, so.
I didn't know we were live.
Shut up.
This guy's trying to fucking frame me.
That's really embarrassing to happen live.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
I didn't drop the mic.
I know.
So, I'm guessing you put this in here. Is that all you do? It doesn't tighten or anything? I guess it doesn't move.
Oh, do you need help or you got it?
Oh, okay. Kind of just started doing this instinctively because it used to be my job.
Cool. Okay. Can somebody be impeached twice for the same thing? Could Trump technically be impeached? I think you can. I think you can technically be impeached for any reason. You don't really need like it's not like a criminal proceeding.